Chafing Armor Podcast, episode 85. One more round. Welcome back to the Chafing Armor Podcast. The Padcast?
Padcast?
It's a Padcast.
We Bastin! You Padcast from Bastin.
Well, this is a freaking weird podcast here where we're suddenly all transmuted into people from Boston. But welcome to the Chafing Armor Podcast, episode 85. I am your host, Michael Corley, and with me on a special solo episode is Lee. Lee, tell us who you are playing.
Yes, that's my name. Did you forget?
I kept trying to say Osokai.
I've forgotten my name in this campaign many times. Don't worry about it. G'day, everybody. My name is Lee, and I will be playing Osokai, the Bear Force 1 of the podcast.
You are not wrong. So, folks who are tuning in from episode 84, we are doing a little bit of a time skip. This is the next chapter in Chafing Armor, so very exciting and a great place, and welcome. If this is your first episode, get ready for some fun. We are actually skipping ahead. The adventurers have been traveling north for nearly a month. They have left the Penta Plains and are now on the outer layers of the north, the outer reaches of Hyboria, the kingdom that is ruled by the king who they met in Mascate. We now find our adventurers in Zental Keep, an old city on the borders of the north where things start to get cold and dangerous. And we open with a field. Osokai, you find yourself standing in a field. And I want you to think about the people that you come from, the shifters. I want you to think about how they would wash their clothes.
Okay.
Tell me, how would they wash their clothes?
They would have them on. Specifically because a lot of the wanderers, the hunters, the warriors wear a lot of hides and leathers, and they're not often poorly cured. His curing techniques aren't fantastic in the tribals. So if you take them off, wash them and let them dry, they will shrink or harden or essentially not be usable anymore. So a lot of the times they keep them on to clean off whatever they have. Also, it's more efficient. It's more efficient. It's because shifters are always on the move, and because they're a race that's often mistaken for lycanthropes. And there's obviously the group that likes to hunt down lycanthropes and can't tell the difference. Keeping your head on a swivel is important. You don't want to be caught literally with your pants down. So keeping your armor, your leather armor, and your clothes on while you wash them just makes good common sense. So Osokai would probably be standing, I'm guessing, in a cold river, with some soap in his hand, just kind of scrubbing down his armor and his fur and going for a swim, essentially.
All right, and the water is bracingly cold, but you are used to such things traveling out in the wild. But it is up in the north, and things are not, we're not talking about sub-zero temperatures, but it is cold. And you are cleaning yourself in the river, you're scrubbing yourself really well. You are stepping out, and you see something the second you step out of the river and look up onto the embankment, which goes out into a low, slowly loping hill, is you actually see a clothesline. You actually see a clothesline stretched between two trees, and there are several sheets, white sheets, that are pinned to them. What would you like to do?
Shake myself like a giant Saint Bernard dog covered in water to dry off a little bit, and then cautiously but confidently approach. I mean, I got here fairly okay, and you haven't said, but I'm assuming we're somewhat close to civilization, so I'm not too worried about being ambushed, and if so, well, they've got problems if they decide to.
Yeah, it is one of the advantages of being Osokai, is that he's not too worried about it being overpowered.
Yes. I mean, in a dragon's cave, maybe, but out here, close to civilization, you're going to need at least like 5 men.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
And you actually see, you've seen this in cities before, is that these sheets actually have a small fire going underneath them. And what you see is that as the shirt in the middle fills with the steam, it actually goes up and then back down. So it fills up and then back down. And next to it, the sheets are kind of gently rustling.
Ooh, that's a very nice way of drying things. I might try that myself.
It really is. And if you look that up, the story goes, there's no way to know if it's true, that the 2 gentlemen who invented the first hot air balloon saw this when they were walking around in France. They were both paper makers. And they actually built little paper balloons and filled them with hot air, and they floated around the room.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. But this is actually how people used to dry their clothes back in the day. And you see this, and you go up, and as you go up and you see it going, and up, and you notice that there are actually just a few like little holes in the sheets. And that's not in any way exceptional given the world that you live in. But through that holes, you actually see that there are more sheets just past these.
Huh.
And that does strike you as odd.
Yeah, it means there's probably more people than I expected around, or something different is going on. All right, a little bit more caution. Approaching slowly. See, I'm not that kind of shifter. But are there any smells aside from the fire? Like, does it sound like smell of cooking, maybe, or?
Give me a quick spot check.
Okie dokie. That's a 14.
Okay. You do get a slight metallic tang in the air, but that is all.
Is this like a blood tang? Or, I mean, I would assume most guy knows the smell of blood.
Well, he does, but with a 14, you're not sure.
Okay. That's still an interesting smell in the air, so I guess we'll get down low and just approach, because a metallic smell in the air could be anything, but in Osakai's experience, it's generally not very good. He'll probably draw his Morningstar and just kind of approach in a low kind of walk, sort of low to the ground.
And give me a quick stealth roll.
Okie dokie. That's an 18 on the die, plus 29.
Okay, and I want you to keep that number in mind in a little bit.
Okay.
You stealth around the side of these to kind of peek around, and you see that the next set is also set between 2 trees, and there's a sheet on each side and a shirt in the middle, and they are almost identical to the one before. And there's also a small fire going that's slowly making the shirt up and fall down, up and fall down.
Okay.
that's when you can see as the shirt up and fall down, you can see just past it is another set of drying clothes.
All right. Do a quick look around, see if there's anything interesting, more interesting in the area that I'm in. Maybe like some possessions or. Actually, can I check for footprints?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So
search check of 17.
okay. You do see one other set of footprints. They are smaller than yours. That's not saying much. You think they are the booted foot of a perhaps a human woman or an elf woman, but you're not certain. Not like a fine fancy boot, but like a traveler's boot.
Yeah, a good solid adventurer's boot. But
you would
prints wouldn't be very
slipper.
deep or.
It leads you to think it's someone who doesn't weigh very much.
Yeah. All right. Guess I'll continue on.
One more.
Oh.
And also, when you said I want to look around, you turn behind you, and you see on the other side of the river is another set of clothing drying under a fire.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. I mean, this is weird, but let's just continue going in the way I was, because, I mean, going back across the river is just going to get me all wet again, so I might as well just keep going.
Okay.
Forward.
Okay. You keep going. As you pass by the third one, you see none of them are exactly the same, but a nearly identical set just past that.
Can I compare the two, see what the difference is? Or the three even, like see if I can see what the difference is between all of them.
Give me another, I would say that's an investigation. I believe that's a skill, isn't it? Or would it be, if it's not investigation, then another spot check will be fine.
Okay.
Getting my Dungeons and Dragons mixed up.
Yeah. That's okay. We are mixing different editions and bits and pieces from them, so that's a. I can do math. 16.
16. Okay. The shirt on each of them are what you would think of as a commoner's shirt. Just what an average person that you pass on the street, almost certainly men. The main difference that you see is that the different sheets, while they are all white, are different levels of dingy. Like the first one was like almost pure white, but it's not like a progression kind of thing. They're all just a little different. Okay. So they really do look like they belong to different people, and the shirts are all slightly different sizes. They look like they belong to different people.
Okay, so the first thought is there's a camp around here. Like a roaming nomadic camp of some kind. I guess we'll just push forward.
Okay.
Same as it ever was.
Okay. You keep pushing forward, and you find, as you go up the hill, another and another and another. And when you crest the top of the hill, you look out, and in the valley in front of Zental Keep, as far as your eye can see, you see drying sheets. In the middle shirt, foom, foom, up and down rhythmically. Hundreds, thousands, as far as you can see.
But no people.
No, you have not seen anyone, though you still do see the woman's tracks leading onward.
Huh. All right, well, I guess we'll follow those then.
Okay.
At least as far as we can.
You start to follow those. You notice as you walk by that each one, again, is a little different. Some of them you noticed are much smaller. Some of them are for very large people. All of them seem to be humanoid. and all of them are in different levels of dinginess. And you start to go down the hill now and make your way into a deeper valley. And you begin to hear everywhere is the sound of crackling fire, but a more intense fire begins to blaze as you go down further. And at the bottom of this valley, you can see two huge trees, perhaps 80 feet tall, tall and straight. And between them, same size though, in between, is a set of clothing that's swaying in the wind and flapping up and down. But they do look distinctly different than the others in that they are torn. Oh. They are shredded, and the shirt is soaking with blood. And as you approach, as it up and slips back down, you hear the pss, 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 as blood strikes the fire below it.
Huh. Okay. So someone didn't bother washing these first. They just chucked them up
hung them out
to dry. And didn't want to dispose of them if they're that raw. Alright, that is curious. Okay. We'll approach this a lot more cautiously this time.
Okay.
Definitely trying to keep my head on a swivel, make sure I can keep an eye out for any sounds or signs of movement as I get closer. Because this is... I mean, the whole thing is a bit weird, but this is definitely... this is vastly different to what I've been seeing so far. And I want to know... I guess I want to know, what's going on, and two, if there's anybody in need of assistance. That's a lot of blood on a shirt, and all the stuff is torn up, so, somebody around here could be hurt.
Yeah. And it doesn't look good. You make your way down very cautiously. You actually, with your spot check from before, and your high stealth, you're making your way down very stealthily. You do hear a sound. You hear the sound of creaking wood. And a non-trained adventurer such as yourself might think that that's all of these trees. But you recognize the sound of wood, as in from a structure. Like wood from timber and rubbing against one another. Like not quite like on a ship, but like the way a house settling. Yes, floorboards or a house settling. That's the sound you're hearing, and your keen adventurer ears is hearing that.
Can I pinpoint which direction it's coming from, or is it too soft at this point?
It's very soft. If you had to guess, it feels like it's coming from above where this strange clothing is.
That would make the most sense too, given how tall these trees are. Those guys are gonna look up. It makes the most sense. I mean, one, it's, these trees are pretty tall, and it's a pretty good place to do a drop ambush from, so...
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Look up.
All right. So you look up, and you know something is up there. You just know it, and you are now. You've gone from, this has been intensely disturbing more and more, but now your battle sense has kicked in, and you are ready for something. And then at the same moment, you become aware. There is something right behind these shirts. This shirt and those sheets just beyond. So you sense something above, and you sense something straight ahead simultaneously. Two different things. And I want you to decide what you would like to focus on right now.
Okay. I'm going to put away my weapon.
Okay.
And stand up straight. There's something here that doesn't feel... If someone wanted to have a go, they would have. So they're watching me. If something's out there, they're watching me. And this blood leads me to believe that it could be fear. And those guys having a good day. You know, it's you know, he's had some experiences, but he's still here, and as much as that annoys him, he's having a good day. He had a good wash. You know, it's a lovely, nice day outside, bracing breeze. He doesn't really want to. Kind of doesn't want to get in a fight right now. So he's gonna try and present a little less of a threat. He's gonna stay readied, but you know, having a weapon out seems like more of an intimidation thing than he would like to present at this point.
Okay.
And obviously his focus is probably going to be on a thing that's closest. So behind the sheets.
Okay. So you are at first focusing on the top, and then you shift your focus to behind the sheets. And just like in a movie editing trick, you see the shirt flip up, come down, and then as it flips up again, you see a figure standing behind the shirt. That is now just completely visible to you. It is a beautiful young woman, and she is wearing a raven cloak. And you have met her before.
Oh, boy. Hello, mistress.
And she nods once to you. She does not, I would say, when you met her before, she looked very, not cruel, but aloof.
Yes.
She is a god, after all.
Yes.
And the Raven Queen looks at you, but it is not a sense of aloofness. It is a steady gaze that her avatar looks at you. And she says, I'm sorry. There is only so much that you can do. At some point, it just won't wash out. And that's when the creaking intensifies above you, and your eyes flip open, and you realize that you have been asleep this entire time. But there is a figure dropping down from the ceiling at you with something pointed at your heart. Something is coming down. However, you had those high rolls for before, so they do not get the drop on you. As this figure comes down out of the ceiling, apparently, dropping down upon you. And I would like you to roll for initiative.
Okie dokie. I can't believe he just pulled it. It was all a dream on me. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a 13.
Yeah, they rolled a 7. So, Jack first, what would you like to do? You are, everything is chaos and misty and muddy and everything. This is the most intense dream you've ever had. But you are in a inn, and your things would be wherever they would normally be when you are sleeping in an inn.
Okay, yeah, that would be away from me at this point. Yeah, at this point, in the blink of an eye, Osako would just roll off the bed. Like, he'd just roll to the side of the floor and just roll off the bed, just and try and stand up as quickly as possible, because someone just tried to fall on me with a knife. That's not gonna it's not gonna fly right now.
And what I will say is you are essentially prone from this.
Yes.
So since you got the initiative, what I'm going to allow you to do is to roll off and come to a crouching position from that. As you do, the figure from the rafters comes down and drives a long staff into the bed. And you see, in your crouched position, you see the stick go through the bed into the ground. Just boom, like that.
Just, how high are the ceilings in this place?
You're in higher up, and they're higher up than you might think. And there is rafters up there.
Clearly, this guy fell terminal velocity.
Actually, their turn now, and so they got a 2. Huh. Okay, so a 2. So they were having trouble getting that staff out. And by the way, not using my dice tonight, using the role-playing app, the dice app. So this is clearly something spiritual that's going on.
Hashtag not spawn.
Exactly. As they pull out the staff, but they are not actually able to attack with it this round. And now it is your turn.
All right. Do I recognize this figure? What does this figure look like?
So I would like you to make another spot check.
Okie dokie. 17.
17. So with a 17, you recognize that the hair is pulled back behind. The face is covered in a mask. You are quite certain it is a female drow. But with the mask on and with a 17 roll, you are not 100% whom this is.
All right. Well, since I have nothing on me, let's go for the grapple.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice. That's a 19 plus my grapple, so that's a 29.
29. Okay. So I would like you to describe to me this female drow has just come down, flown out of the rafters, driven the staff through the floorboard of where your heart just was.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just, shoot, just pulled it out. And that's when you leap forward to grapple. Describe to me what happens.
So I would... Your call. I would leap forward, grab hold of the staff they tried to hit me with, because I'm assuming as they pulled it out, it went kind of horizontal. That's when I'm going to make my move. Grabbing that staff and using it as leverage to pin them up against the in wall, and try and restrict their movement. So and hold them there with my incredible strength. I mean, I'm going to assume I'm a little bit stronger than a drow, but they're also a little bit more dexterous than I am. So that would be how I would have tried to sort of...
No, with your really good roll and with their relatively poor roll before, I'm going to allow that. And that you come crashing forward, and the as they're bringing up the staff to crack you with the underside of it, you actually use the staff and use its momentum, pushing backward with your leap, and there is a crack as their back smacks into the wooden wall of this inn, and you actually hear some of the boards crack behind them, and maybe the window cracks ever so slightly as the tip of the staff hits.
Oof.
And so you hear this woof, and you are just chest to chest with this drow, and the eyes narrow and crinkle, and she says, "Well, I see that you are still my bear."
I release the the staff, and step back, curiously kind of reaching out and pulling the mask to one side just to make sure that this is some elaborate trick right now, just to make sure that yes, and I'm going to assume this is who I think it is.
As far as you can tell, unless there's something else going on.
Right.
This is, this is D&D after all.
Yes, exactly. Zuana?
She nods, and now she speaks she was speaking in the fake woodland elf, sort of Eastern European voice that you knew, but you actually know that her... Yes, you actually know that her drow accent is actually not... That's not her normal speaking voice. And she says, "It is good to see you again."
Last time actually, I don't remember when the last time I know there was a fake Zuana riding a big purple worm.
Y'all called her Pseudowana.
Pseudowana, that's right, yes. I remember her.
The last time you saw Zuana is you actually didn't see her in person, but she sent you a note that she was going with the drow who were dragon-skinned. Not unlike Penton, and she was going to help them in the Underdark.
Right.
She asked you to hold on to her hat for you.
That's right. Yes.
Was the note that she left?
I believe I still have that hat, and I've only used it once in a bunting.
You that is correct. Where you pretended to be a bear, an actual bear.
Yes, an actual bear this time.
And she says, I just wanted to make sure that you have not lost your edge. I see that that is the case.
When you've been through what I have, Zuzu, you can't afford to let your guard down. I don't actually call her Zuzu. That seems really, really disrespectful.
I was going to ask if that was in canon or not. 'Cause I had heard that one up until now. And with that, there's actually a moment where her face drops a little bit, and she reaches up and runs her hand over your now stark white hair, and she says, I can see that.
Hunting's a little difficult, but you know, I'm in the north. I'm in the north now. I blend in a little bit better.
And she laughs, and she kind of shakes her, of course, stark white hair. Yours is kind of white with a bit of little bits of iron gray, mixed in.
It's inverse salt and pepper of, most salt and pepper is dark with white streaks. Mine is white with a few dark streaks where it hasn't quite taken yet.
Exactly. And she shakes her hair and she goes, I do not mind. Well, I have actually come here with a purpose.
Oh.
I have come, yes, I have come to spirit you away in the night. You and you alone. I have something very special for you. But first and foremost, I have a question for you. She leans in very closely and she says, do you have my hat?
I should do.
You do. You absolutely do. She's quite serious.
Yes, I will head to my pack and I will bring out a soft satin wrapped or velvet wrapped package in which the little tiara she gave me rests, and I will hand it to her and say, it might be a little bloody, but not much.
She smiles and says, that is not a matter of which concerns me. And she takes it and she puts it on, and instantly she takes on the form that you first saw her as a wood elf, as Zuana the wood elf, and the hat taking on the appearance of intricate head wrappings that always when you wear this hat, it has some configuration in the real world.
It's Ozuka kind of steps back. It's never not disconcerting to watch someone just go from what they look like normally to something completely different. Warn me when you do that next time.
And she instantly begins speaking in her what you know as a wood elf accent, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I am sorry to startle you. I am just a poor wood elf druid who is come to invite a big, strong shifter ranger to have a drink."
I bet you say that to all the big, strong shifter rangers.
And we cut to shift forward the better part of an hour. She's had you walking. And you are walking out into this sort of sparse pine tree woods that is outside. You have actually, by the way, walked through the actual valley that is from your dream. Completely.
But there are no sheets anywhere, no fires.
You are 100% correct, and you find yourself unable to not look for them.
Right.
But there are none there, and in fact, you do actually notice as you leave that is how people dry their clothes here, especially in the winter. Not the winter, but in the cold. That the clothes have a tendency to freeze before they can properly dry.
It makes way more sense to do it that way. Yeah.
Right. But it's just scattered here and there, and they are in no way, shape, or form configured the way that you had seen before. They are just, haphazardly, every imaginable piece of clothing and every imaginable sheet.
Yeah.
But as you make your way out into the woods, you walk for quite a while, and she comes to a tree, a particularly gnarled and stunted tree that is clearly, a century ago been blasted by lightning, or
Mhm.
perhaps a wizard battle, who knows, in D&D. And she comes to the tree and she says, things are a little different here, as she reaches and pulls off the hat and reveals her drow appearance. And she knocks a certain sequence of knocks that is a little unusual. And
Can
she
I
says,
take the opportunity to remember this series of knocks?
yes, absolutely. You would just simply, this would actually just be a straight knowledge. And since you don't have a particular knowledge for this, it would just be your intelligence bonus.
Would it come under dungeoneering, perhaps? Or
I would allow you to use half your dungeoneering.
okay, that's fine.
Bonus.
Okay, so that's 14.
14. Okay.
Yeah.
You think you might be able to. You're not
Okay.
sure. It's a complicated sequence. It's not just dun 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 dun. It's
Dun, dun.
knock 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 knock.
It's
knock,
it's
knock,
Morse
knock,
code
knock.
for "let me in, you assholes."
It's something like that, yeah. And after a pause, there's a responding knock that's brief, and then there's this you do get. It's just 3 knocks to finish, and then the base of the tree just kind of swivels, revealing a blast of heat and smoke, and just not the best smell ever. Not like rotting, just unwashed smell hits you. And
There is this tune plays. Da, 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 da,
exactly.
da.
And the ugliest goblin you have ever seen. It is impossible. Like I'm not going to make you because it doesn't matter. But like you would actually have to roll not to go ugh, when you see it. Pokes its head out and it looks over to you, and she looks over to you and she goes, "Shift now."
I'll shift.
Okay, and you, for the audience, very quickly, if you would tell them what it looks like when you shift.
Okay, so shifters are not lycanthropes, so there's no lycanthropy here. However, what happens is shifters get a little more bestial based on their quote unquote totem, I guess. They're the animal that gives them their special abilities. It's related to tribe. It's a big thing, but Osuke is a bear. He gets, strangely enough, a little leaner, not bigger, a little leaner, but his fur gets a lot more coarse. His face gets a slightly bit elongated into a snout shape, but more importantly, out of the tips of his fingers come inch-long black claws. That includes his feet, which is why Osuke generally doesn't wear boots. And he gets a lot more hunched and he doesn't assume a 4-legged pose, but his hands do tend to kind of touch the ground more than they do in his unshifted form as a way of, you get an animalistic sense of if he wanted to run, that would be how he would run. Would be with all 4 limbs attached. And he looks a lot more animal-like than his human form. But he's still bright white.
Yes, and this happens, and he squints at you, and he rolls his eyes, and in the worst common you've ever heard, he says, "Fine. There goes the neighborhood," and he waves you both in.
As I pass him, I'll pat him on the head.
I'm not gonna do a roll right now, but the hate coming from his face is you have there is no doubt in your mind that if he has the ability to stab you in the back later, he will do so without pause. But he is also a goblin, and you are literally twice as big as him. So,
if looks could kill, literally.
Exactly. He's just giving you this terrifying look.
I like him. I say that to Zoana as we walk down into the. So I like him.
She lets out like this, like, ugh, like, why? I can't bring you anywhere. And you make your way down, and you recognize this immediately for what it is. You are in a bunting.
Hey, another one.
And
lovely.
Yes, and for whatever reason, obviously these things would vary from place to place.
Yes.
Buntings are places where the races that would normally get murdered in a city will meet. And it is very common for a bunting to be within say 10 miles of a big city for the purpose of convenience for those who feed off citizens of that city and for other reasons like that, and specifically for trade, because there are,
as you said earlier, a tavern for the great unwashed.
Yes, that's exactly, and a hive of scum and villainy.
Oh God! The
interesting thing is that while just about any race that would normally be killed on sight in a humanoid, in a demi-human city filled with dwarves and elves and humans, there are those who skirt the line between two: half orcs, half orcs being one that can travel from both, and apparently in this particular one, shifters are allowed entrance, whereas the one outside of Massgate, they were not, which is why you had to disguise yourself as a bear.
It would make sense, I guess, up here, especially given, I mean, shifters aren't common, but they're also not that rare. Up here is a perfect place, since it's cold enough for them to avoid the Church of the Silver Flame. Since the church, doesn't exactly... I guess they would avoid the coldest regions because they don't believe lycanthropes enjoy that. And given shifters aren't lycanthropes, it's fine. And also, prejudice is different everywhere.
Well, that at the end of the day, that is the reason. It's just different everywhere, and what is tolerated in one city is not tolerated in another. And for whatever reason, like you said, it may be that shifters get attacked more out here, and therefore are more welcome in a bunting. But it is the case, and this one is larger than the one the other one wasn't small. If you recall, it had a troll in it that later made its way to the city. But this one is even larger, and you just get the feeling it's probably even older. Zentil Keep is an old city. It's a city that's been blasted by war in centuries past and rebuilt and so forth. And so you think that this bunting has been around for quite a long time. And it is packed tonight. There is every description. There are orcs. There is an ogre. An actual ogre filling up a large portion of one area.
What are you doing in my swamp?
That's right. It is green, and it's having an adventure where it's learning a lot about itself. And
I want to know. I want to know that that particular D&D campaign that has an ogre on an adventure to learn about its to learn more about itself. Is there perhaps a donkey nearby? A talking donkey.
There is a talking were-donkey. No. God,
that's a cool idea. A were-race. You always get the were-races of were-bears and were-boars and were-wolves, and surely there'd be other animals like the were-donkey and the
now you mentioned dungeoneering before. I would like you to make another dungeoneering roll.
Okay, I can do that. Is this a full bonus this time, or?
Yes, just a regular dungeoneering roll.
Okay. That is a 20, non-natural. I've got a 16, and I've got a 4 in my dungeoneering.
So you do recognize there are actually more than you've never seen one before, but your high dungeoneering roll means that you actually recognize them. Mm-hmm. There are close to a dozen creatures from the Underdark here, which obviously the Drow are from the Underdark, which there are several Drow here, but these are Quaggoth And if you imagine a lycanthrope that is all muscle and big and shaggy,
lovely.
and with bluish, greenish, and purple fur, it looks very unpleasant. And they are huddled in a corner, and they're not even sitting at a table. They're just all huddled over a fire, and they are eating meat of questionable variety.
I'm assuming there's a lot of questionable things going on in this place, which
yeah, any number
enough.
of which could spawn an adventure. But they catch your attention because most of the creatures here are they're in like groups of like 3 or 4 at tables and such, and they're just kind of like this, like, just imagine like a pack of hyenas just in the middle of an inn. It kind of draws your attention.
Oh, yeah. And they're obviously, most of the creatures in here are out terrestrial, above ground, kind of,
Yes.
not often seen, but still, you're likely to see them wandering across mountains or the plains or whatever. The Underdark ones, you got to go on a journey to find those guys. These guys are...
You have definitely never seen one of these before, and you definitely that's how Dungeoneering works, is story of story of story.
Yep.
You're like, I think that's a Quaggoth, and I think those are like big, brutal werewolf-like dudes. Except they don't change shape. But that is your attention is drawn back. Actually, Zuana actually cups the side of your cheek, and she turns your head to a table that is near. There is a hearth, a roaring fire in the corner, and there you see just one figure sitting at the corner, which strikes you as unusual because this figure is absolutely human. Until you get a better look, and she smiles and bangs her tankard and says, "Oh, Sokai, you son of a bitch! You are the reason I was able to get in here today." And Captain Jackson waves you over to the table. And that's where we'll end Chafing Armor, episode 85. This is going to be interesting. I didn't know quite where this adventure would end, but I think we're going to pick this up very quickly. And I want to thank you for playing tonight, Lee.
Thank you very much. Is it my birthday? Did I give you Osakai's birthday and he just forgot?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on here?
Yep. I know there's nothing that Osokai wants more than to be in a room full of Quaggoth. It's definitely what you're referring to.
You're right.
So we want to thank everybody for listening. If you are enjoying Chafing Armor, please remember to go to our iTunes page and give that a check and say that you like it and write a little review. And we've got some fun ones on there that you can check out. Thank you for playing, Lee.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we will roll with you soon.